88.3 WSBU. It's your favorite 2 hours of the week. It's Seipp. It's Smitty. It's Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz, live from 4 to 6 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube Live, as well as 88.3 FM. Now, Tom, it's been a week. We got a jam-packed show today. Exclusive interview with Toledo men's basketball guard Marreon Jackson coming in just a short bit. Tom, we got a packed show today. What's the feel? Bonnie just won yesterday. I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, there's a reason that our show is 2 hours today. I'm obviously very excited. Happy to talk to Mr. Jackson a little bit, and I'm excited to talk a lot of college hoops today. Obviously,
as we're getting down the stretch of college basketball regular season and moving towards conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament, there's a lot going on. John Rothstein is tweeting more than anybody ever has in a span of 5 minutes in a day. It's ridiculous. The college basketball world is being rocked day and night by ranked teams losing, unranked teams blowing other competitive teams out. It's a weird college basketball season. It's this Mickey Mouse season, as Tom Seipp likes to call it.
Yes,
and but you know what? Yesterday, 2 unranked teams, but the new top seed in the A10, the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, beating Davidson yesterday 56-53 and completing the sweep of a Davidson team that my co-host Tom Seipp was not too confident about. And they came out with the victory yesterday. So, Tom, you were at the game. Or no, you were not at the game. It was in North Carolina. You were at the game just Friday. Sunday. My days are all out of whack. I'm having a busy week, but I'm just happy to be on the show right now. Might not be all the way there, but
all the days meshed together.
They really do. They really do. So yesterday, game was really tight. Bonnie's jumped out to a double-digit lead in the second half. Led at halftime by 11 and only increased it in the early minutes, but then did not score for a large portion of the second half. And Davidson ended up clawing their way back, and we escaped the 3-point lead thanks to Jalen Attaway's plays on both ends of the floor. Man, this game was intense.
Yeah, it was a good game, and things were calling me out. I mean, yes, I will admit, I thought the back end of the back-to-back would have been very difficult. So thank you for just publicly calling me out.
I didn't know if you would admit it. I did not know if you would come on the show and admit that you did not think the Bonnies were capable of making this sweep 2 games in 4 days.
I don't know if I would word it like that. I don't know if I would.
Well, all right. They're not capable, but you just didn't predict them to win both games.
I expect them to win.
Pleasantly surprised.
I was very pleasantly surprised. Yes, that's how I want to put it, because I think it's just unfair to say that I thought that they were going to lose. But it's fine. Point being, they played fantastic in the first half. And I'll tell you why I didn't think that they were going to win yesterday, Tyler, and that's because of the 3-point shooting. On Sunday afternoon, they made 11 3-pointers, which to me was kind of shocking. It's not something they're typically very strong in, and they came out yesterday and did the exact same 11 3-pointers yet again yesterday, and it was just a very strong performance. They did have from the 18-minute mark to the 2-minute mark, they had 9 points. Right, it was brutal, but overall, I saw an interesting stat today in conference play. Tyler, this might shock you because it shocked me. In conference play, who leads the conference in 3-point percentage?
These guys.
It's the St. Bonaventure Bonnies, which just absolutely shocked me.
It was a shocking tweet.
It was very shocking to see that.
From St. Bonaventure superfan at SB Unfurled on Twitter. I mean, he provides amazing content as far as the Bonnies go, as far as some graphics with the Bonnies go, and it's a total breakdown of the season. I mean, he's a guy that you got to follow if you're a St. Bonaventure Bonnie basketball fan. But going back to this game, I mean, the Bonnies scored 14 points in the first 17 minutes of the second half. You can't happen if you really want to make a run in the A10 tournament.
Absolutely. And the thing that benefits St. Bonaventure is when they do have those and they don't have those spells often where they struggle scoring the ball. But when they do, they're one of the best defensive teams in the Atlantic 10. So just being able to stay in it throughout the entire game. I know they had that 14-point lead, and obviously Davidson did tie it. They never took the lead, but they did tie it. To at least stay within that range of staying in the game the entire way in that second half without really, struggling mightily. I'm scoring the basketball. It did say something about Bonaventure, and again, I'll be honest. Again, I didn't expect them to win, but I was very pleasantly surprised by their play.
And it's funny, the last 2 games, they've shot the exact same amount of attempts from three-point range, and they made the same amount. They've been shooting 52%, 22 of 42 in their last 42 three-point attempts. That's pretty remarkable for a team that was pegged as Brick City from long range for the first half of the season. And since conference play, I mean, you just heard it, they're the best three-point shooting team in the A10, largely because of some rather skewed games like yesterday and the previous game versus Davidson shooting 50%. St. Joseph's too. Yeah,
it's a little skewed.
Listen, we're not going to shoot 50% from 3 for the rest of the season. I'm okay with that. But if we can get a comfortable 38%, 40% out of all the rest of the games of our season, listen, this is the team to beat in the A10.
Exactly. And, I think something that's very encouraging is, I just mentioned the St. Joseph's game where it felt like Jaron Holmes was 20 for 20 from beyond. But you see signs of life. I mean, we saw Don Walsh in the first half yesterday. We all know that he could shoot from beyond the arc. But we heard today, Jalen Alloway, right? He only made 2 3-pointers before yesterday's game the entire season. They happened to be in the same game at St. Louis. And he came up and hit the game-winning shot. It was kind of funny. He hit it with 1:57 left, and there was 0 points the rest of the way.
Yep.
For either side. But seeing Jalen Alloway shoot the ball, have the confidence to shoot the ball from beyond the arc there. And, he says, Don Walsh joked today when he was talking to reporters that, he tries to, do shooting competitions with me all the time. So we know that the ability is there. He did it at Miami, Ohio, just 2 years ago.
Shot like 36, 37%.
He shot very well. So it is a little interesting to see why, maybe he hasn't pulled the trigger yet. It's a little bit of a different role for him this time around. But it is encouraging to see him shoot the ball. On Sunday, Kyle Lofton hit, I think it was 3, it might have been 4 Sunday afternoon. And you just see some guys who struggled or really didn't shoot the ball as much from beyond the arc. Early in the season, we saw them do that last night and Sunday, which is a very encouraging sign for St. Bonaventure.
And, just going back to this game, Davidson's kind of the perfect matchup. And I was saying this after the first game where I hadn't seen Bonnie's and Davidson match up since last year in this, infamous RC whiteout that we were all at. Haven't seen the two. I know. I was waiting for a reaction. I was waiting for a reaction from you, but I haven't seen the two teams match up since then. And after the first game, I was like, you know what? This is like the perfect matchup for the Bonnies. They don't have too much inside presence. They don't drive the ball a whole heck of a lot, and they just live and die by the 3. And for a team that's not deep, they're not getting bullied inside. They're not getting, the shoulders to the face. Aside from Jaron Holmes yesterday, I thought he was knocked out. But Mark Schmidt, resilience, keep him in the game. And then we finished the game with our starters. But for a team like Davidson, who doesn't really run a whole heck of a lot, I mean, they do a lot of half-court sets to get open threes. That's the perfect team for the Bonnies to be defending because they don't have to waste too much energy laterally running back in transition. Because that's not the team Davidson is. So that's why I was predicting a sweep of Davidson this weekend. So that's going to be the type of team that the Bonnies are going to want to face if they do make the NCAA tournament. And it'll be interesting to see if we do match up against Davidson again because you play a team 3 times in a year, you sweep them, you're never going to get them that third time. So
never do it.
Regardless of whether that's a matchup that favors the Bonnies or not, I really would not rather see Davidson again just because of the pure math that goes into college basketball matchups. But all in all, this performance by the Bonnies was one that I really enjoyed because they didn't put a whole heck of a lot of points up on the board yesterday. They scored 39 points in the first half, one of their highest scoring first halves of the season. But in the second half, they scored just 17, and they still won the game. So if we're able to do that, then I'm content because this team is not only the statistically best 3-point shooting team in the conference, I think they're the best defensive group as well.
I'll agree with you on the defensive part of that. And I do want – and listen, I know we have our disagreements because I don't think it's a perfect matchup whatsoever, first of all. But talking about going forward, right, Tyler, I said before yesterday's game, okay, if they have any wiggle room the rest of the season, it's tonight. Meaning last night.
Yes.
It was last night's game. If they had any more wiggle room to lose the game, it was last night. And they won it, which is very encouraging. That's a quad 2 win. Now we play George Washington on Friday, quad 4.
Better than I swear we better not lose that
at
game.
Home on Sunday here at the Rally Center, which at the moment is quad 3. So you have no wiggle room because so far Bonaventure only has 3 losses. They're all to either quadrant 1 or 2, but you have no wiggle room the rest of the regular season. If they do win out, they win the regular season outright, which would be nice. I think that's going to be the first time under Coach. I think it's the first time in the Atlantic 10.
2016.
It was tied.
Oh, it was tied.
Yes,
Really? So we
it was tied.
would have been out right because we have an extra game over
That's
VCU.
correct. That's
Oh, wow.
correct.
I didn't know it was tied in 2016. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did some fact checking today. That's why I know that.
Deep research from Tommy Seipp.
But and then it's going to come down to, if we want to talk tournament wise, and I'm just jumping ahead.
Yeah, for a guy who's pegged the Bonnies as a non-tournament team all year, he's talking tournament now.
I may or may not have done that. But point being, come to Atlantic 10 tournament time, you really have no wiggle room there either.
No.
And it's really, and again, I'm like totally jumping the gun here right now. But if they do win these next 2 games here at the Rally Center, right, and they're the first overall seed in the Atlantic 10 tournament, they'd be playing the 8-9 match, which is Duquesne St. Louis right now. Is that there is no easy matchups in the Atlantic 10, it seems like. People are making it seem like that the Atlantic 10 is just this horrible mid-major conference that's like getting worse because like George Mason has won a few games now. LaSalle upset a few teams. Back to the reality is it's just a deep league. That's the reality.
I think from the teams that are third. I mean, you could argue that Richmond's a tier above the rest, but from the teams that are third all the way down to probably 10th, all of them could beat each other. All of them.
Yeah.
And the Bonnies at VCU could lose these teams. I mean, VCU just lost to George Mason as well, like you mentioned. Albeit Bones Highland did leave the game late in regulation. But, I mean, all of these teams are capable of beating each other, aside from Fordham, maybe.
Hey, they beat Dayton.
Hey, they did beat Dayton, and then St. Joe's. Dayton has some bad losses in the A10, man. That's what I'm most concerned about, is because I know Dayton is not a bad basketball team.
No,
they're not. They're coached well. They have good players. They have veteran players, and they run a well-oiled organization for the Flyers, and they just lose these odd games to teams like St. Joe's, who didn't have a conference win up until the game just a few days ago, and Fordham, who feels like they never have any conference wins for the last 20 years. So they lose these odd games.
Fordham.
Yeah, Patino to Fordham.
Fordham.
We're starting this trend. I mean, we saw a couple of hashtags a couple of years ago. If you see people saying Patino to Fordham, we're restarting that hype train. And we want Rick Pitino in the Atlantic 10.
Go to Fordham.
Rick Pitino. Also come on Seipp and Smitty. I sent you an email. But no, going back to the A10. Dayton loses these weird games, and it is going to be really interesting because I know they're not as bad as our net ranking suggests. But if the Bonnies lose that game in quad 3, it just does not look good for their postseason hopes.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And that's why I think that's why I kept saying that if any wiggle room remaining, it was last night because it was on the road. If we lost that game, it actually would have been a quad 1 loss probably because they would have moved up. So they would have been up back above that 75 threshold. So it would have been a quad. So we had the wiggle room, but now that's gone. So now there's not much wiggle room. And I think what's so important, and again, I'm just totally jumping on this is a conversation for next Thursday, but I think what Bonaventure has to do in the Atlantic 10 tournament, I think they have to win the first 2 games. If they go to the Atlantic 10 championship,
I think it's a lock.
Okay, but here's the thing. If they go to the Atlantic 10 championship, there's an 8-day layoff, right, from that Saturday to Sunday. And it's just lingering in the committee's minds that, hey, they still have the championship on Selection Sunday, nonetheless.
And they're the #1 regular season seed.
Right? So if you have that linger in your mind for 8 days that they're going to be playing in this championship game, whether it's against Richmond, VCU,
UMass, anybody.
Freaking George Mason. I don't care who it is. As long as, they're getting to that championship, I think that they'll be fine. But they just have to get there. I think it's going to be so important. And I think it would be really important for the team to win on back-to-back days because they just have no depth. And really
that would tell the committee a lot about this team as far as their ability to, make a run in the NCAA tournament. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be really interesting as far as the rest of the A10 goes because, like you said, this is such a deep conference. I said everybody can beat each other. They can. And that just goes to show you because St. Louis, the presumptive A10 favorite, is an 8 seed currently. Yeah. They've had some rough losses. They have a game tomorrow against Richmond that's probably a must-win for them.
Yeah, and Duquesne's the 9 seed. Well, I had second.
Yeah, Duquesne is not.
That wasn't an outlandish thing to say.
No, it wasn't. They're another veteran group in the A10. The A10 is actually pretty relatively old league. Like there's a lot of juniors, seniors dominating this conference, and that's why it's so deep, because these guys have all been here before. They've all played each other, and now we're finally seeing them trade blows this season. And in a hectic COVID ridden season, that's what's going to happen in a deep conference. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the final seeding of the A10 tournament looks like. It could look like anything as of right now. Bonnie's could go as low as the 4 seed, and we could remain at the top. St. Louis could be an 8. They could also be a 5 or a 4. It's such an odd way of this year, because none of the teams have even relatively close to the amount of same games played. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as far as the A10 tournament seeding goes.
No, you're absolutely correct. Man, if we pull that 4 seed, I think they're like the 9 o'clock game that Friday night. So that would be nice for us for a little travel. We could go a little later if we do end up going.
Yeah.
So
if they end up as the 1 seed, they play Friday at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
So we'd have to get there the day before.
I don't think anyone here on this campus wants to wake up, or at least it'll be during classes.
It will be during classes.
That'd be brutal. Yeah, no one wants to be playing at 11. So
no, professors don't want us to be playing at 11 because the majority of their students will have their players open on their laptop screens.
So
hate to break it to you.
4 seed, and we end up playing 9 p.m. It's fine.
And it'd probably be good for A10 viewership.
Fine, it's fine. But obviously we're not rooting for that.
Absolutely.
And then we don't want that to happen. But it doesn't affect us. But yes.
Now, going to the rest of college basketball, I mean, there's a few games tonight that we have to kind of outline, and there's one big one.
There's one big one.
With your Iowa Hawkeyes heading to Ann Arbor to face the red-hot Michigan Wolverines and Juwan Howard. Man, this is there have been so many potential game of the years. I mean, Oklahoma, West Virginia was a great show. Ohio State, Michigan was now, in my opinion, the game of the year. I'm sure a lot of people share that same opinion. And now we have another team, Iowa, coming into Ann Arbor for an offensive showdown is what it's going to be tonight. Hunter Dickinson versus Luka Garza. That's going to be the matchup of the year as far as a head-to-head individual player goes. Tom, I just want to get your thoughts on what Iowa's got to do to come out on victory.
What Iowa has to do to come out victorious, I think what's going to be key for them is their guard play. We all know that Luka Garza is going to show up tonight. That's not going to be a question. But I think what is so essential for this Iowa Hawkeyes team is how Jordan Bohannon, I love Joey Wieskamp. I think he's going to be fine. How's TJ Frederick? He's dealt with some injuries. If we can get him back on track, that's going to be what's most important, right? Again, we all know that Luka Garza is going to have a great night tonight. It just seems like he does every time, every night in the Big Ten. And Keegan Murray, right? I think that he actually might match up well against Hunter Dickinson. I think the front court, that's fine for Iowa. I think it's going to be the guard play, the 3-point shooting, especially. It has to be. And I was just looking yesterday. I was just looking at his most recent games, and he's really struggled recently. And there's just, I don't know what it's kind of.
It's really the 3-point shooting that
it is, and which doesn't make sense.
Lights out shooters in the entire country.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make sense. He has struggled, and he had some turnover issues. I think it was a Michigan State game, if my memory is jogging me correctly, or Ohio State game. He wasn't even at the end of the game. So I think it's going to be the X factor for Iowa tonight is without question. It is the guard play. And again, if Wieskamp gets hot early like he has in a few big games for Iowa, that's going to be very, very essential for this Iowa Hawkeyes team. I'm not too sure if they're going to – a lot of people have asked me, for betting reasons people have asked me. They're like, Iowa plus 4.5 tonight, plus 5, whatever the line is now. And I do think it's going to be a close game time, but I'm just I'm very nervous about them winning outright.
Well, you know what? How does Iowa stack up against Ohio State in your opinion? I know they lost, but how do they stack up as far as the skill level between the two teams? You think they're right there?
No, I think Iowa's better than Ohio State. I think skill-wise, because that's the way you posed the question, absolutely I think they're better. They should have won at Carver Hawkeye Arena just a few weeks ago. They choked at the end of the game, a classic Fran McCaffrey style. And I think skill-wise, I don't think it's close, Tyler. I think Iowa's a much talented. I think Michigan is a far more talented team than Ohio State too. I think Illinois is more talented than Ohio State too. Because again, that's how you pose the question. I don't believe they're even the top three, not one of the most top three talented teams in the Big Ten.
Something to look out for. You just mentioned Illinois. Ayo Dosunmu just broke his nose. He'll be out until the Big Ten tournament, and we could be seeing a little masked Ayo in the postseason. So that'd be pretty cool for Illinois fans. But hopefully his face is feeling a little better than it did when the initial break happened. But Michigan tonight, this game proves this. You know what? This game for Michigan is going to tell me if they're in the Gonzaga Baylor chair. It is. If they beat if they beat Iowa,
Michigan.
Yeah, if Michigan beats Ohio.
Oh.
Iowa. See,
Whoa,
you're messing me.
hold on.
You're killing me here, Tom.
Who are you talking about? Michigan or Iowa?
Michigan beats Iowa convincingly tonight, which is
Not
convincingly
going
to
to
me is
happen.
8 to 12 points at least.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, to me, I think they got to be up there with Baylor and Gonzaga. I mean, they play in the best conference in the country. They're the best team in the best conference. Why would they not be in that tier? Currently, I have them in their own tier right below, but with a convincing win over Iowa and the player of the year, you got to have them in that top tier.
I could agree with you on that. I will agree with you on that, actually. I think tonight is big. It's a big game for them. Obviously, they have the Ohio State win, which is big. So I agree with you. Just, 4 days later?
Mm-hmm.
To come out.
Being
to
the
come
other
out.
two other top
Yeah.
5 teams in the best
Yeah,
conference.
I'll agree with you there. I think that if they win tonight, kind of solidifies them being a number one. Without question.
There's nothing
Without
taking
question.
off the
Yes,
line.
exactly. They'll be locked in at that third spot. So I do agree with you. I don't even have too much else to say about that. I do agree with you.
Now I'm rooting for Iowa tonight. I'm not gonna lie. I'll root with you, Tommy.
Let's go.
And I just want to see. In reality, I mean, I'm just the guy who wants to see the underdog win. And Iowa, I mean, the number 9 team in the country, they're a top 5 team in the conference, which is crazy because when you say a team's a top 5 in the conference, it doesn't always mean they're that good.
Yeah.
But the Big Ten is so good in the top 5 that it's an honor to be mentioned in that group as far as this college basketball scene goes. So what I'm going to be looking for though, as far as for Michigan, is the play of Frank Wagner, Eli Brooks. You said the X factor is going to be guards for Iowa.
Yeah.
We know what Hunter Dickinson's going to get. We know what Isaiah Livers is going to get. I need to see a big game out of these 2 guards from Michigan, especially on the defensive end, because I mean, if Jordan Bohannon's going to show up for any game tonight from 3, it's going to be this one. So I'm going to need to see elite defense from Eli Brooks, Mike Smith, even Chandra Brown, and Franz Wagner as well from the outside. So that's what's going to be the telltale sign for me as far as the ceiling for this Michigan team is the guard play as well.
Now, let me ask you a question. We got a comment right here that I just could not disagree with more. That is about the National Player of the Year.
Okay.
Who's your National Player of the Year? Is it Luka Garza? Is it Dosunmu? Is it Jared Butler? Who is your Player of the Year? Because we all know mine. It should have been Luka Garza last year, and it will be this year. Without question. But we've been hearing a lot, especially from someone I know who says, oh, Jared Butler, he deserves to be at Baylor. They're untouchable. Who is your National Player of the Year? Because, again, I could go on I could fill up the whole 2 hours talking about why Luka Garza should be in.
I know. And I tend to agree with you. And, honestly, I do. And I would just say it for the sake of argument, but I just don't think there's a question. I think Luka Garza is the best player in the country.
Thank you.
I would love to argue and just belittle you in an argument right now about Jared Butler because I think he's phenomenal as well. But there's just no argument as far as this goes for me.
Thank you.
Iowa, you don't have to be the best team in the entire country to have the National Player of the Year. I mean, Dayton wasn't ranked number 1. Obi Toppin won Player of the Year. You don't have to be that number 1 guy.
Obi Toppin should not have won National Player of the Year.
Well,
It should have been Luka
conversation for last
Garza.
year because they gave it to the guy who was leaving. Luka Garza obviously had another year. That's a politics issue within the NCAA. But
Should have
this
been
season,
Garza.
Luka Garza is a senior. Iowa's playing great. They're a top 10 team, and he's the best player in the country. There's no argument for not giving it to Luka Garza.
I hope so, man. Again, I last year still, I'm sure it bothers him. I think it bothers
I think
me
it does bother
more.
him.
It bothers me more.
One thing that might harm him as far as the rest of this race goes is 3-point shooting. It's kind of declined as of late. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think that'd be an issue. Maybe tonight, right? Because I posed it as the X factor, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't know. I don't really think that will play into it too much because Luka Garza's still been very, very, very good so far. So I don't think that would be a ginormous issue.
And before we go to break, I just want to get just a fun idea of what you really think of Luka Garza. What's he gonna do in the NBA? What's his ceiling in the NBA? Now I don't want to ask what his floor is because we know his floor is not good.
Yeah.
What's his ceiling in the NBA? I'm curious from you.
I don't think it's obviously too high. Obviously, sadly, but what's his ceiling?
Yeah. What's the player he could be?
Been comparing him to Frank Kaminsky a lot recently.
Frank Kaminsky's a rotation guy. Listen, if you can be a rotation guy in the NBA, you can make a lot
Well, the thing with
money.
Luka Garza is just not he can't move his feet defensively. I mean, that's just the issue. And I mean, if you would like to say, oh well, if he can improve defensively, he'll be great. That's a big wish to ask. Yeah. So I don't even know what his ceiling would be. Maybe a little Luke Cornett action.
Oh boy, if his ceiling's Luke Cornett, then oh my God, he will make that.
But better inside. Okay,
I mean,
a little bit better inside of Luke Cornett.
I honestly think the Frank Kaminsky comparison's pretty good. He's probably worse defending the pick and roll than Frank Kaminsky. I could see a little Kelly Olynyk as well. I mean, maybe and like you said,
I think that's a little generous.
Better inside. Kelly Olynyk, make Kelly Olynyk now, not Kelly Olynyk peak Game 7 against the Wizards. Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, and again, like my grandma can defend the pick and roll better than Luka Garza, so that's the issue. So
wow,
and listen, this is right.
We got
a
quote from Tom like trashing on Luka Garza. That's crazy.
This is a correct comment though. Luka Garza would have been the first overall pick in 1998.
Oh yeah.
God. Oh gosh,
Step aside, Michael.
He would have been averaging 40. He would have been NBA legend.
I mean,
in the 90s.
Somebody say George Mikan clone? Come on. Luka Garza, he doesn't have a huge ceiling in the NBA, but he's the player of the year in college basketball. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a live interview with Toledo men's basketball star Marreon Jackson. Stick with us. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. Welcome back to WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty 4 to 6, and right now we have an exclusive interview with Toledo men's basketball star Marreon Jackson. Marreon, it's great to have you on the show. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. And You guys have had a really good season thus far, top of the MAC. But before we get into your season, I just wanted to get our listeners a feel of what you bring to the table. So first question is, if you had to describe yourself as a basketball player in just a few words, how would you do it?
I would say I'm a leader and I'm just a dog.
I love that. Just a dog. So I've seen your nifty moves from the behind the back pass, fake behind the back pass into a layup like Rajon Rondo, or the acrobatic scoop finishes of Kyrie Irving. Did you model your game around anyone growing up, or even now as a college senior?
Yes, different aspects. Passing and IQ wise, I look up to Chris Paul, but both us being 6'1" guards, and then scoring wise, like finishing at the basket, Kyrie.
Absolutely. Kyrie's one of the best in the game at finishing around the rim. So, getting into your season, you guys faced some really stiff competition in the non-conference, most notably Michigan. How did those games, and those teams prepare you for, MAC conference play this year?
Our non-conference schedule was definitely good for us. A lot of great teams, and the main reason it was good for us is because we had to change our whole identity of our team. When JT Shoemate was able to play, and I don't think he actually played in that Michigan. I think his first game back was against Marshall, and we had to change our identity, play small ball. Switching every screen, switching in post ups. It was just a big eye opener for us, and we did a great job adjusting.
And you guys sit at 18-6 and 13-3 in the conference, but two of those losses came back to back earlier this month. But you've won your last two games since. So you talk about adjustments. What was the adjustment you guys made to get back on track down the stretch?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, so you guys are only 13. You guys are 13-3 in conference, but two of those three losses came back to back just a few weeks ago, and then you guys won your last two, most recently at Buffalo. What was the adjustment you guys made to get back on track?
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was adjustment. We just had to get back to playing Toledo basketball. We were missing assignments. Losing focus on defensive assignments that we had going into the game. Offensively, we were getting fed up. We wasn't playing how we was playing when we was on that 8-game winning streak. And I think the first game we won back, I believe it was Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miami was the first game back. And we did a great job winning. We went into that game acting like we were, we wasn't the number one seed. We had to get back to playing our gritty basketball that we know how we play. And now we're back on track.
Yeah, so you talk about gritty basketball, and you said we weren't really just playing Toledo basketball. Kind of describe to me like what the definition of that is. Like what represents Toledo basketball in the spirit you guys play with?
Toledo basketball is team basketball. We don't care who scores. We make the extra. We pass up a good shot for a great shot. Just playing unselfish basketball. We wasn't doing that.
And you've been on some competitive MAC teams, not just this season, but your first 3 years as well. But one thing that's eluded you guys is a conference championship and an appearance in the NCAA tournament. With just the conference tournament just 2 weeks away, what is your guys' mindset heading in?
One goal, win the MAC championship. Every team is going to no record. Any of that matters in the tournament. Everybody is coming for everybody's head, regardless of what seed they place, whatever. It's 3 days, 3 games. Be out there.
Absolutely, and last year you guys were a top seed once again, but you fell in the quarterfinals to Northern Illinois. Is that game something that you guys have thought about, or not last year? Excuse me, last year's conference tournament was actually canceled, but 2 years ago you guys did end up falling to Northern Illinois in that quarterfinal matchup. Is that a game you guys have thought about since then, because you haven't had the opportunity to kind of have revenge in the conference tournament since then?
Oh yeah, me and Spencer, we emphasize that all the time. Like I said, seeding or none of that matters in the tournament. That's why the lead is so dangerous, because any given moment, any game, any team can win. You gotta come out ready to play regardless.
100%. And we just have a few minutes left here, and I want to put you in a quick I want to put you in a quick scenario. So you're putting up some great numbers in the conference, stat wise, top team currently. So act as if we are the deciding jury and make your case for MAC Player of the Year, because you got to be in the race this year, man.
I'm sorry, can you guys that last part again?
Oh yeah. So act as if we're the deciding jury and make your case for you being MAC Player of the Year, because you're definitely in the race.
You put me on the spot. I would just say, I don't know. I don't really like talking about myself.
I know. That was something that I was like hesitant to ask you. I don't know if he wants to, like brag too much or anything. But you're a great player, and we just wanted to get what your idea was.
Well, if I would have to say anything, I would say that, I always do what's best for my team, regardless of whatever in any aspect that needs to be done. I try to be that guy. If we need to stop, I'm that. I want to step up to make the stop, a shot, a pass, whatever the case may be. Even if I'm on the bench, I'm talking to my teammates, making sure they know, keeping them engaged. This is a young team and a new team we got came in this year, and I took a couple guys under my wing to just show them the ropes and show them, what Toledo basketball is about.
So kind of, go just delve into that a little bit. I mean, you talk about this team being young. I mean, a lot of freshmen coming in, and you guys were still able to compile this great record you have in the MAC. So kind of talk about what you did to make those rookie guys kind of feel like veterans.
Oh yeah, from the very first day, the second day came on campus to a practice. Me and Spencer, they came in here, laughing and joking, which is okay, but no, we shut that down fast because we knew what was at stake this year. We knew we had a good team coming in this year. We knew that this was me and Spencer's last year. We didn't want to go leave early. Want to go at the best, whatever the best is of the team that was coming in. We wanted the best out of them, and we knew that Ryan Rollins, a couple of guys were going to play, and we wanted them to be ready.
Absolutely. Now, just before we let you go here, we want to ask you a pretty fun question. Just kind of lighthearted, not as much serious college basketball talk. It's a super tight race right now, just like the MAC Player of the Year race. So I want to know, who do you have right now for NBA MVP?
I would say James Harden, man.
That's a great pick.
James Harden does it all, and then he with going to the Nets, everybody had their doubts, egos and ball dominance, but he's shown he don't, that didn't matter to him. He's still getting his numbers, which is crazy. Yeah, I got James Harden. Yeah, James Harden.
I mean, he's kind of adapted from that basketball mentality that he had, being a little. Some people call it selfish. Obviously, he averages double-digit assists year in and year out, but now he's kind of playing defense, locking down, and focusing on winning, and that just sounds like something that you guys at Toledo are trying to accomplish as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Defense wins games.
Absolutely.
I know it's a cliche, but that's definitely true.
100%. Now, Marreon, you got a game coming up against Ball State, if I'm not mistaken. What's going to be? Western Michigan. Ball State's the last game of the year. Western Michigan is this Saturday. So what do you guys got to do to come out victorious in that one?
Like I said, their records don't show how good they actually are. So we're going to take this game as if it is the MAC championship. They have a great guard and Beardis White. Titus, their big man, is very good, very talented. So we're just going to stick to our scout and play how we play.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck to you the rest of the season. It was great having you on the show. MAC championships coming up, and that's got to be what's on the mindset. But first, you got Saturday, Western Michigan, next week against Central Michigan and Ball State, and then you're in conference tournament play, man. So good luck to you, and thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. See you soon. I'll be watching you. back to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz and WSBU Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube Live. Now, you just heard that interview with Marreon Jackson. It was a great interview, and we love mid-majors here on Seipp and Smitty, and we were talking about the conference tournament in the MAC. Now we're going to shift gears to another conference tournament that's starting tonight, actually, a little early postseason action for college basketball, and that's the Horizon League.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
We love the Horizon League here, and that was probably one of the most sarcastic statements I've ever met.
No, but we do.
But we do.
No, I'll tell you why we do. Hold on, I'm going to cut you off.
Oh, he's going to cut me off.
The reason St. Bonaventure loves the Horizon League.
They do.
We have 3 former Bonaventure players in the Horizon League.
Well, is that a reason that we love the Horizon League, or is that a reason that we resent the Horizon League for taking our guys?
It's the Horizon League, so we love them.
Okay. All right. It's one of the best. It's honestly one of my favorite names of a conference in the country. You know, just a nice name, Horizon League. And they actually, honestly, God, they have some pretty competitive teams in this league. And, you know, we're just going to give our quick conference tournament picks for the champion of this conference. Now, Tom, you were pretty enthusiastic about this, so I want you to start off.
Of course I was. That's the reason we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Without question, I think the champion of the Horizon League is not going to be the 1 seed. The reason also, I'm going to preface this. The reason I want to talk about this is that when I'm right, I wanted to, have some proof.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the champion of the Horizon League this year, right? Let me pull up the quick standings real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the 1 seed Wright State. It's not going to be the 2 seed Cleveland State. It's going to be – they're playing tonight. They're playing tonight. The tournament.
They have a former Bonnies player, I'm
They
assuming.
do have a former Bonnies player. 6th man of the year, former Bonnies player. And that is Detroit Mercy. Oh, my goodness. They are such a fun team to watch, first of all.
Formerly coached by Dick Vitale
That is true.
of ESPN. And fun fact, Detroit Mercy came here in the 70s when Dick Vitale was coaching. And, of course, we had to beat him in the RC.
Had to.
Had
Who
to.
haven't we beaten in the RC?
I mean,
that's a whole other conversation.
Whole other conversation. We could get to that in a little bit later. We still have more than an hour left on today's show. So if time permits, we can get to a little Bonnie's basketball history if that's what you guys are asking for. I'm sure that's not what you guys are asking for, but that's something that me and Tom have kind of found a niche in these past couple weeks, and all the competitive teams that have come to the RC in years past, and why we can't get any anymore. But let's go back to the Horizon League real quick.
Let's go back to Detroit Mercy.
Detroit Mercy and Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson. Anthony Davis is the best scorer in the nation.
Whoa.
His
The
dad's
nation?
coach. Oh, yeah. He's such good. He was averaging like 30 his freshman year.
Yeah.
He was like, what was it? It was like 27.
Yeah, I remember he was
in
like
his junior year. He's disgusting. He needs to make the NCAA tournament. He's like let's find a good mid-major comparison. Like Thomas Walkup, right? Everyone knew who he was.
Of course. Of course, Tom mentions Thomas Walkup, the former Stephen F. Austin.
He was so good.
Oh my!
so
The
good.
Lumberjacks, man, they were fun to watch, and I didn't love
so good.
when they beat Duke and Cameron Indoor. But
That must be Notre Dame.
that's another conversation. That was a great game in the
That
NCAA
was a
tournament.
fantastic.
Great
that was
game.
like one of my favorite games of all time. I think.
Thomas Walkup, just a legend in March Madness
Yes.
lore.
Yes.
But I'm gonna be a little more boring here. Of course I am, because I just think Wright State is the best team in the conference. I really do. I mean,
They have the coolest court.
they do have a really nice
They have the
court.
coolest court.
I mean, they don't have too many impressive wins because, Horizon League didn't play a ton of out of conference, but they've been dominant as far as in conference play goes, and that's what really tells the signs of a conference champion going into the conference tournament, especially this early. Because I mean, Wright State, I mean, they've only won one. They lost their second to last game, but they've won their last one, and they're one of the most balanced teams as far as Horizon League scoring goes. They don't have a player in the top. They have one player in the top 5, and then the rest of them round out in the top 25. So this is a team that can score in many different ways, and I've watched them a few times this season, and they've honestly been pretty impressive as far as a mid-major in the Horizon League goes. So that's where I got to go. I hate to go chalk, but they're the best team in the conference this year, Wright State.
Tyler, let me tell you something. You picked Wright State. Detroit Mercy's the 5 seed, right?
The 3 seed.
5 seed. They're 3 in the standings but in the
Oh, they're going by
bracket,
win percentage?
It's weird. I don't know. They're
College
5
basketball is
seed.
all out of whack this year as
Hold
far as
on,
seeding goes.
Real quick, the MAC, the real MAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Never call it the MAC, because the MAC is the real MAC.
Do you know what they're doing this year in terms of the
No disrespect to Toledo, though.
I think I mentioned this. the conference tournament is based off total wins. They
Yes.
screwed over Ricky Pitino.
That's right. He might be a 10 seed in the MAC, even though
still gonna win the tournament.
yes, he is. A
He's
Cinderella
gonna go for them.
a Cinderella story for Rick Pitino and the Iona Gales in the MAC tournament this year. It'll be fun to watch him in another season of postseason college basketball. So, but I just think
the Gonzaga of the East Coast.
oh yeah, Gonzaga
of the East Coast is going to be the Iona Gales if Rick Pitino doesn't leave. It's true. It's true.
I am fully confident in his ability to rebuild a program like that, especially one in the MAC where it's going to be easier for him to recruit as far as the rest of the coaches go, just based off name alone.
We all know he's a great recruiter,
and we all know how proficient of a recruiter he is. Just years ago as head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, but
yes.
I don't want to talk about the MAC too much because we're going to preview that conference tournament when that comes around as well.
Jalen Pickett, player of the year.
That's actually, I think that's a given. Siena is probably going to make the tournament, and I can't wait to watch Jalen Pickett in March.
2 seconds ago, you were like, "Oh, Iona."
No.
You were saying Siena?
No. I don't actually think Iona is going to win it. I want Iona to win it, but I think Siena's the best team in the conference.
Blasphemous. Iona, Ricky Pitino.
I am one of the biggest Ricky Pitino guys ever, and that's not the best thing to say. However, Siena is going to be a dangerous, and I mean dangerous, 15 seed in this year's tournament. You heard him here first.
Oh my God!
Watch, just watch.
You mean Iona? So you have a comment right here. Iona is better than Siena. I agree. Thank you very much. Uh-oh.
We're gonna have to wait and see. We're getting a
Horizon League.
Horizon League comments.
League. Hold on. We have Detroit Mercy's playing Robert Morris for a third time, and they did just sweep him this past weekend.
Oh, and we talked about not wanting to face Davidson again as the Bonnies, and
I'll tell you why I'm not worried. That Robert Morris has been brutal.
They're not good.
Their best player transferred just a few weeks ago. Actually, had a Zoom call with St. Bonaventure on Monday. 20-point per game scorer, 10-point rebounds a game. Just knowing that out there.
Might want to get him on Seipp and Smitty.
But that is good idea. But I'm not concerned about the 3 games in a row. Robert Morris has 4 games all year. They're all a very long time ago. I'm not concerned about it. But it's a good point that he brings up because who has beaten Detroit Mercy twice already?
Wright State.
That's Wright State. And now that's another conversation.
We'll have to see when that comes up, especially because Detroit Mercy is going to be the 5 seed. Wright State's the 1. So they are going to match up in the semifinals.
Yeah.
If that was to occur.
It will.
So you know what? I'm glad I picked Wright State because they're going to whoop on Detroit Mercy for a 3rd time this year. I know I talked about how the math is just not in their favor.
Robert Morris is not even going to be within 20 points.
No, Robert.
Okay, let's just say that. I'm sorry.
However, hey, good luck to Justin Winston, former St. Bonaventure Bonnie, as he transfers to Robert Morris next year. We'll be looking out for him in the Horizon League as well.
Yeah, Horizon League, the league of former Bonnies.
Bobby Planutis, Purdue Fort Wayne, not too bad.
He's 710 points. It's shooting like 45% from the.
Listen, we knew he could. We knew he could shoot. We knew he could shoot.
He was just in the wrong system.
Wrong system.
Good player.
Everyone
was very not. Let me watch they were very nice to him. That's what I'm going to say.
As far as his performances went at St. Bonaventure.
They should have been nicer.
Should have. Maybe he'd be here for a second year.
Yes.
But that's another conversation for another day. Horizon League tournament starts tonight. I got Wright State. Tom has Detroit Mercy. And it'll be fun. Who doesn't love watching single elimination college basketball? We got postseason action tonight. Some teams are going home until next year tonight. So watch out for the Horizon League tournament. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, who doesn't love a little postseason?
I love conference tournaments.
Come on.
Seippology. This is going to be its 6th year. We all heard of Seippology.
I mean, oh yeah. How haven't you heard of Seippology?
Dating back to high school, predicted all 68 teams right in 2019, right? And I always do my conference tournament brackets, right? I mean, there we go, like game by game. Because I did. My friend asked me today, he's like, oh, what college basketball game should I bet on? I did give him another Horizon League game to bet on. So the Horizon League, I have my eyes set on tonight. IU,
Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
I have them covering against Milwaukee tonight. That's an 8-9 matchup. 8-11 Milwaukee against 8-9 IUPUI.
Wow.
IUPUI, who's going to host an NCAA tournament.
Oh, yeah, because Indianapolis,
Yes.
Indianapolis is going to be hosting all the NCAA tournament games this year at various locations, and Indiana University, Purdue University, Indiana is going to host one of them.
I'm just going to give you my game-by-game picks tonight.
Oh,
So
God.
I think Detroit University's winning tonight.
Oh,
I
God.
think
How many?
IUPUI
Wait, so
is gonna win tonight.
how many games are
There's 4.
There's 4 and the 5 seeds
there's
playing tonight?
12, It's 5-12,
Oh, wow. Okay.
8-9,
They have the 5-12 playing. Wow.
6-11, 7-10.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to give you game-by-game picks. All games are on ESPN+. We are the biggest Horizon League and Toledo fans. And Mac. So I got Detroit
Mac
University,
and Mac, all right?
Detroit
We love both.
University. The 10.5 point favorites, I would still take it. Okay. IUPUI is going to beat Milwaukee tonight. That's what I think. Youngstown State against UIC. Blowout, Youngstown State. And Green Bay against Purdue Fort Wayne. They got Bobby Punu, so I've got to go Purdue.
We got to go Purdue Fort Wayne in that
Gotta go.
situation. I mean,
So there you go. There's my Horizon League picks of the night.
Tom's done such intensive research on Horizon League game-by-game conference tournament
I
matchups.
sat in this very station. It was the night after St. Bonaventure lost at VCU. A Friday night, Rocket Friday night for Tom Seipp. Sat exactly where you're sitting right now. Watch on this very TV right here. Watch that VCU and Bonaventure game. You know what I turned on after?
Horizon League.
Cleveland State against Detroit Mercy.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
PNU.
Just great basketball in the Horizon League. And you know what? All seriousness, it really is. It's not a bad league whatsoever. And they start their conference tournament tonight. And I think we've talked just a little too much about Horizon League basketball tonight, but maybe not enough if you're Tom Seipp. But let's transition real quick. Just totally different topic, because this has been something that's been eating at the back of my head all day long. That's Russell Wilson.
Oh, what a change.
I said, listen, we're switching gears dramatically,
That is it.
because I can't take it anymore. Russell Wilson has not demanded a trade. However, he is very frustrated with Seahawks brass. More frustrated, it seems, now than he was just a few weeks ago when these initial rumors came to life. Now he's actually got teams on his short list, and he hasn't asked for a trade. He said that's up to the Seahawks. Russell Wilson has a no trade clause, so he can obviously elect to decline trades to certain organizations, but he has listed his specific teams that he would like to be traded to if that were to happen, and that is Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints, and am I forgetting one more?
I thought I saw the Jets on that list.
The Jets are not on the list.
We're on an earlier.
Oh, the Raiders. Yes, the Raiders. The Jets and the Dolphins were on an earlier list, but apparently those happen to be false. I understand.
Watson.
I understand why. Those are Deshaun Watson's short list of teams. And I don't know why Russell Wilson would ever want to be a Jet.
Because Deshaun Watson's going to be.
Oh, yes, I get it. However, Russell Wilson, he's got to get some help. And when I mean help, like, he doesn't. Not only does he need help on his offensive line, he needs help communicating with the front office and with the coaching staff as far as decisions go within this organization. You don't make a quarterback the highest paid player at his position in the NFL, actually, at the time, and just not include him in any decisions. Do you honestly think that Patrick Mahomes doesn't make any decisions in Kansas City? Do you really think that, guys like Drew Brees, guys like Aaron Rodgers, well, Aaron Rodgers, I'm not so sure, but guys like Drew Brees, guys like Tom Brady didn't make decisions for their respective teams? I mean, maybe the last 2 years of Tom Brady in New England, maybe he didn't, and that's why he went to Tampa Bay. Now he makes decisions for Tampa Bay. When you have a franchise quarterback in the middle of his prime, he's got to be involved. He has to be, in order for this team to make the right decisions. And, the headline we have here right now, he stormed out of the room prior to the game at Arizona, the one we actually came out victorious in, by the way, because we'd lost our 2 previous games. They had a meeting, and Russell Wilson tried presenting his ideas about the Seahawks offense, and it seemed like Pete Carroll and the rest of the staff just shut him down. And I don't like that. I mean, if I was Russell Wilson, I really wouldn't like that. And as a matter of fact, I probably would have done the same thing. I would have stormed out of the room and said, listen, if you guys don't want to include me in these decisions, then I'm just going to go out and play my game, and that's going to be it. I'm frustrated with Seattle, and I'm frustrated with, just everything as far as this whole situation goes. Because Russell Wilson, I mean, he's a guy where, yes, he gets hit a lot. It's not always the offensive line's fault, though, because he has this kind of mentality where it's always the big play. There's There's guys there for the check down, but he doesn't always look for him. He's just looking for DK or Tyler Lockett in the secondary, and he forces a lot of throws. He forces a lot of looks that end up getting him hit. So this can't all be on the staff. However, I'd be hard pressed to say that 90% of it does come from them.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's an interesting story, Tyler, because at least me personally, I really didn't see anything like this really coming about. If I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't see Russell Wilson being put into a situation like this where he would get frustrated, and obviously he hasn't asked for a trade yet, but it might lead to one. I never really saw that happening up in Seattle, but it's a very interesting to see. And again, we've had this conversation. I feel like the last few shows, whether it's Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, or a few other quarterbacks that want out of their situation, and this one might be down that path.
I mean, this is by far the highest profile name that has come up in trade talks. I mean, I wouldn't by far. Maybe that's a little bit of an overstatement, but Russell Wilson is perennially been a top 5 quarterback in the NFL for the last probably 6 years. Probably 6 years. So I don't know how you could even play with the fact that he might want out. He's your entire franchise right now. We were on track to let up the most yards of any defense in NFL history for the first 6 weeks. The defense shored up a little bit once we added Carlos Dunlap, but then the offense kind of faltered. I don't understand how you even entertain the idea of Russell Wilson wanting out, because without him, Pete Carroll would be fired. John Schneider would be fired. He is keeping this organization alive right now. And, the fact that he's being honestly disrespected by the front office and the coaching staff is blasphemous as far as NFL organizations go. Players have so much power today in any professional sport because they make more money than anybody else in the organization other than the owners. So how are they not involved in decisions when they're the primary stakeholders in the organization? It's crazy to me how they could be so oblivious to not only Russell Wilson, but the football mind that he possesses. He's one of the smartest players that I've ever watched on the football field, and how he's not involved in any decisions, not even the roster, but on the offense that he's captaining. He isn't involved in decisions with his own offense. That boggles my mind, and that needs to change quick, or else, like you said, Tom, that trade demand will be coming soon.
Now, Tyler, that exactly leads me to my next question. Do you believe that he will be traded? And whether it's this year or the following year, do you think that Russell Wilson's exit from Seattle will be via trade?
Well, for all the reasons that I just mentioned, I mean, the Seahawks are the most frustrating, competent football team that ever steps foot on Sundays. So do I think that they're going to trade him? No, I don't. It would be very – I mean, the price tag would be ridiculous. I'm not sure if it probably would command more than Deshaun Watson's trade package right now, just for the sole fact that Deshaun Watson has said, and we're gonna get to this in just a little bit, that he has no intentions of ever playing for the Houston Texans again. So he has all the leverage. Russell Wilson, he hasn't made that trade request yet. So we kind of still have a good amount of leeway as far as what we would get in return. But I'm not even going to entertain that fact right now because I don't know. He is everything for this organization. If you trade that away, bye-bye. See ya. The team might relocate. It would be so brutal because our best player would be Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams. So, I mean, a guy we just traded 2 first-round picks for, bargaining the future for a win-now position, and then you end up trading Russell Wilson, then you're basically, you're in another rebuild. Bobby Wagner's going to want out at that point. Jamal Adams is probably going to want out at that point. He won't re-sign. We have to lock him up this offseason so that just we have a competent player in return for those draft picks. But no, he is not horrible. Jamal Adams is an elite safety in the NFL, and I don't want to hear anything different.
Gave the Jets first-round picks, Tyler. They just handed them.
I'll die on this hill. I'll die on this hill. I'll die on this hill. So Jamal Adams was worth it. And we're going to see that this season.
Personality is.
He battled injuries all year, okay? I will die on the hill that Jamal Adams trade was worth it. Only if we keep Russell Wilson, and that's the focus of this argument right now, is that he needs to stay in Seattle for us to ever have a chance at playoff berths, Super Bowl contention, anything of that commodity. Russell Wilson needs to be in Seattle. And if they trade him, they're going to the depths of the NFL. I'm talking Jaguar status. We're done if he's out.
Really? That bad?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe immediately.
No.
Not forever.
I mean, what is this team? I mean, outside of a crazy Super Bowl run in 2005, what has this team done in its entire history? Nothing. They were an expansion team in the 70s, but I mean, the Bucs have 2 Super Bowls. They came in they came into the league in the same year. The Bucs were literally the Jaguars of the 70s, 80s, 90s until they ended up getting John Gruden and winning that Super Bowl.
And they did nothing again.
Until they got Tom Brady and won another Super Bowl. However, the Seahawks, outside of Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom, have done nothing.
No Matt Hasselbeck. Disrespect.
No Matt Hasselbeck disrespect. Oh, how about we're gonna get the ball and we're gonna score, and then he throws a pick 6 to the Packers. See you never. See you never.
That's the second greatest NFL films video.
Oh, it's listen, if whether you're a Seahawks fan or not, it's a priceless video.
It's the second best video of all time.
If you're unaware, Matt Hasselbeck had the coin flip of the NFC Championship game before Steelers Packers, that Super Bowl. He calls out his shot. He said they win the coin flip, and he says we're going to take the ball and we're going to score. First play from scrimmage, he throws a pick 6 and the game's over.
You know what my favorite NFL? That's my second favorite.
Oh, what's your favorite NFL mic'd up moment? And then
it's come on, this is without question. You don't know the famous one's playing around recently. The Matt Stafford one.
Oh yeah.
Have never
That's
seen that
that's
video,
a great one too. That's a great one too.
Fire you up.
I mean, if you ever need any motivation, just look up Matt Stafford popping his shoulder back in after dislocating it and going down the field and winning the game.
It is the greatest video I've ever seen.
It's inspiring. Honestly,
Matt Hasselbeck's one is like 1B. Like that is
for a totally different reason.
Yes, not on the same level, but like that one, like that, like when you said Seahawks pre-Russell Wilson, that's the first thing that went to my mind.
Yeah, well.
See, and that's not a good thing.
Embarrassing is what this organization is. They got to fix something. Russell Wilson, I hope you have a change of heart. And he said he wants to play in Seattle. Let's not forget the fact that this guy signed a 4-year deal to become the highest paid quarterback, and he wants to play here. He has a family here. He's done such great work with Seattle Children's Hospital, and he's just been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for his entire career. I just don't see the Seahawks trading him away, but you can't count anything out with this organization. You really can't.
You gotta stop saying here. This isn't here. I feel like Craig Carton right now. Like I'm just like completely. Every time you say something of like meaning, I just like completely go off of it. But you keep saying here, Tyler. You know how far we are from Seattle?
Yeah, we're pretty far. We're 3 time zones
away.
We're
in Western New York.
We're 3 hours. We are 3 hours on the clock away.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
And you keep saying we need to keep them here. Here. Seattle's so damn far.
I'm sorry, man. I'm still in NFL mode. I really am, and I love my Seahawks.
You could be in NFL mode 365 days of the year.
I am.
Would not care.
I am.
But you can't be in I live in Seattle, Washington mode because you don't.
I wish I did.
Why?
Because I watch Seahawks games at home.
But like you can watch them here.
Yeah, on the TV. I want to go to not CenturyLink.
Been to CenturyLink?
It's not CenturyLink anymore. It's Lumen Field.
Oh.
But
I didn't know that.
no, yeah, they just changed it this year.
Been?
No, I've never been, and it's a dream of mine to go.
Well, you've been to the Giants.
I did see them beat the Giants in the all gray uniforms, and we're going on a tangent here, but that was so much fun.
Gray uniforms?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the all gray uniforms. I just think they're clean. Great top, great pants. Clean with the Navy helmet.
I like the classic Navy ones.
They're great. I mean, listen, Seahawks jerseys are some of the best in the league. But, that game was so much fun. Ricardo Lockett took my phone, did a video. My jersey was right next to Pete Carroll. Oh, it was a great day. Great day.
You talk about that moment like I talk about Luka Garza's dad retweeting our article.
Listen, we have our prized moments in our life, and that was just mine. Tom's got Luka Garza's dad liking his tweet.
Jacob Toppin.
Oh, Jacob hitting a three.
Kentucky basketball player Jacob Toppin.
Cle-
I hit a 3 in his face.
Clay Anthony Early dunked on me when I was 8 years old. That was pretty cool,
I played
too.
the same AU program as Clay Anthony Early. So
Newburgh Zion Lions.
basically, me and you are best friends with Clay Anthony Early.
Yes,
That's what I'm getting.
absolutely. And 100%.
That's what I'm understanding.
Just before we go to break once again, we were talking about Russell Wilson, talking about quarterback carousel. Oh yeah, we just had a light conversation on Russell Wilson. Now we mentioned Deshaun Watson a little bit, and I said he just had a meeting today with the new head coach David Cooley, and he reiterated he does not want to be back in Houston. He is sticking his ground, and you know what? I appreciate it for Deshaun Watson. I do. Well,
I don't like when I'm so.
You're so old. He's old school. He's old school.
I'm such an
We're in the
old
age
school
of player empowerment, man. Deshaun Watson is an elite
I hate
quarterback.
when players do that. I hate when people are like,
The only-
I'm not playing for you anymore.
The only thing that I could listen.
I am old.
They put no help around this guy, and when I mean no help, I mean below the amount of help that Seattle's gotten for Russell Wilson. Will Fuller gets suspended every year.
He gets hurt every year.
This year he got suspended for PEDs.
But he said it wasn't true.
Yeah. Okay. And the Bonnies are the worst team in the A10.
Well, you see. Listen, I don't know. I think we've talked about Deshaun Watson on every single show we've had so far, and I've continued to say the man without question is going to the New York Jets, which is fine. He's going to play for Robert Saleh. They're going to win the Super Bowl in 2024. It's going to be fine.
Listen, I wouldn't be super opposed to seeing that because it would be fun. But
Would be a fun organization.
I've been sticking true to my pick of him going to the Dolphins because I just think they're eventually going to give in.
Well, so now it just has to happen. We've been talking about, it might happen.
So that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Does it have to happen now? Do the Texans finally have to give in?
See, if I'm the Houston Texans GM, I don't think so, and that's just how I work because I'm just like, there's no way he actually doesn't play, right? I don't know.
He ain't going to
guess-
play. I
guess
promise you he
there's-
doesn't play.
See, I don't like that. I wouldn't trade for a player who did that to another organization. I wouldn't.
Well, Deshaun Watson also has a no-trade clause, I believe, and he can decide where he goes as far as the Texans trading him away. So he's going to want to go to the organization that he's going to. It's going to be almost like a free agency signing, but he's already going to have the contract.
Well, I'm saying if I was the organization, if I was the New York Jets, right?
So if you're the New York Jets,
Douglas.
you're saying you don't want you say
I'm just saying. I'm just using an example because he wants to. The Jets would be a team he'd want to go to, correct? The answer is yes.
I guess so.
If I'm Joe Douglas, right? If I'm the New York Jets front office, I would not. I know he's a generational talent, but I don't know if I would. I probably would eventually trade for him, but I don't know if I'd be so excited to go trade for a guy who just quit on another team. That's how I see it.
Well, I hark back to player empowerment and decision making within an organization. Russell Wilson needs to be in decision making for the Seahawks, and Deshaun Watson needs to be in decision making for his team. And the Houston Texans have not put him in that position yet at all. Bill O'Brien put him in this spot as coach GM. Bill O'Brien, he dug this hole for the Texans and Deshaun Watson, and now they're trying to pick themselves up out of it. It just seems like too little, too late now.
No, I understand that, and I think their situations are very different, though. I think their situations are a little bit different because Russell Wilson, he hasn't requested a trade. He hasn't been so outspoken. I mean, a little bit, but not really. Hasn't been crazy outspoken. He was in the meetings with them. He was talking and whatnot.
He also competes year in and year out.
So
that's something that Deshaun Watson doesn't always do.
It's a completely different situation because Deshaun Watson, he's been in the league 4 years, and he didn't get to make a decision on the head coach, so he's going to quit on the team. And I don't know.
That's not
generational. Well, he's third best quarterback in the league. Yeah,
it's arguable. It's arguable.
No,
it's arguable.
Okay.
Oh, so now we're going on this tangent. It's Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, Watson. Wilson and Watson are interchangeable, I would say.
Okay,
and
you're just biased. At the beginning
I'm saying,
of the year, I would agree with you.
I'm saying they're interchangeable. And I think that's the most unbiased I can get here because I think anybody could argue that.
If I was taking one in 2021, I'd take Watson.
Depends.
I'm starting a franchise.
Starting a franchise. That's a different question. Starting a
That's what
franchise
the
and
Jets are
playing.
doing.
Well, yeah, that is what the Jets
That's
are
what
doing.
the Jets are doing, so I would take Watson.
All right. Well, that's your.
That's just how I'm.
And then again, you take 26 over 32 Russell Wilson. So I mean, it makes sense.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think Russell Wilson's a better quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. And just like that, Deshaun Watson. I agree with you. I think he's going to have to. The Texans front office is going to have to make a decision on trading him. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if they want to get the best return on him and the most, productive return on him, it's going to have to be before the draft.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, it has to be
Every trade in the NFL is really going to have to be before the draft. I mean, we have free agency starting in a couple weeks in the middle of March. There's going to be a lot of movement in the NFL, and I can't wait because it's going to be an NBA-esque offseason this year in the NFL. We've already had a huge trade for Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, and it's only going to get crazier because QBs don't like their situations right now. We're going to have to see what these organizations do to add pieces around them or ship them to other cities. We're going to head to break. When we come back, we're talking more college hoops, little NBA, and we're going to answer a couple mailbag questions if we got some as well. So stick with us on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty. Welcome back to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. Tom, we got some NBA discussions to have today, and for the first time in a long time, Boston Celtics and New York Knicks have the same record.
They do. That is a true statement.
It's not looking good for my C's whatsoever. Last night, losing to the Hawks. They were down 23 at halftime, ended up losing 127-112, and that's just the latest in a string of losses for the Celtics. That's their third straight now, and they're looking like a bottom half playoff team right now. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are getting no help from anybody on the team, and there's a guy who I want to send to the G League bubble right now, and that's Kemba Walker. I mentioned it on the director's cut. He has been losing us games individually for multiple times throughout the season. And I'm just fed up with this team. I don't think the team respects Brad Stevens at all as a coach. I think he's a good systematic coach. I don't think he's a motivator, and I think that's what the team needs right now. I'm not saying fire Brad Stevens, but this team needs a kick in the behind.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And
Thank you for prefacing
the conversation.
Oh, I want to get to them in a little bit as well.
Well, I appreciate that very much. But talking about the Boston Celtics, so they've had obviously their great struggles.
Obviously, Jason Tatum is, and even Jaylen Brown's been playing so great this year,
taking a huge leap.
Yeah,
both All-Stars for Jaylen Brown's first time in his career, Jason Tatum's second. I'm really excited for that. But outside of those two guys, I'm open to the entire team getting the hell out of Boston and getting some new guys in here to surround them. But I mean, obviously, we can't trade the entire team. But Danny Ainge has got to have to make some moves.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do we think that it's a system thing more than a Kemba thing? Look at how.
Well, listen, I'm not blaming it all.
Hold on. Look at the way Terry Rozier's flourished after he's left Boston, right? Look at the way Gordon Hayward has flourished since he's left Boston. Do we think that Kemba?
Didn't even mention Kyrie Irving.
Yes, that was the other one. I had three on. Kyrie Irving. Look how he's done since he's left Boston. Do you think?
Al Horford's done horribly.
Do you think that? Well, that's because he's like 9 years old. Do you think that it's more of a system thing than it is a Kemba Walker thing?
I think it's. I don't think it's a system thing. I think the offense we run is brutal. We run high pick and rolls, basically half court, and it's just whether Jaylen Brown has the ball or Jason Tatum has the ball, that's who's shooting, or kicking it out for an open three that misses. Not a systematic thing, not a Kemba thing, 100%. I think it's a roster thing, and I don't love the fact that the Celtics. Yes, they're in win now mode, but they're also building up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's careers, kind of like how Paul Pierce was in the first 10 years of his career as a Celtic. Listen, he didn't win many games at all until KG and Ray Allen came to town. He didn't have any help aside from
because he wasn't good.
And whoa, Paul Pierce, respectfully, a top 40 player of all time.
Oh, that's just not right.
I'll give my little Celtics bias there. I do think he's a top 40 player of all time. But aside from that fact, Paul Pierce didn't have any help aside from Antoine Walker his first few years in Boston. And they didn't win anything with those two guys either. They have to build a competent bench, a competent group of shooters on this team. Currently, we play – listen, our bench is basically a group of two-way NBA players. It really is. Aaron Nesmith, who I was – very fond of when we drafted him. We needed a shooter. We picked up a shooter in Nesmith. And then we picked up Peyton Pritchard, who I'm a huge Peyton Pritchard guy. I actually do like his spot on the team. He's been playing well. He plays gritty, and he hits open shots. So I've liked what I've seen out of Peyton Pritchard. And I've also liked what I've seen out of Robert Williams, who's now gotten more minutes playing for the Celtics. He's going to be the guy that we're going to need to start down low. It's not Daniel Tice. I've said Daniel Tice for a while now is a backup big. Tristan Thompson as well, a backup big. And Robert Williams is gonna be who we need to start and progress as this team moves forward. And he's been producing very well for the Celtics. It's just a matter of Brad playing him the minutes he deserves. So I really think it's a roster thing. Jeff Teague's not good. And not good is an understatement. Aaron Nesmith is a rookie. Romeo Langford, who we drafted in the lottery last year, doesn't play. Semi Ojeleye is a two-way player. Tremont Waters is a two-way player. Carson Edwards is a two-way player. Taco Falls is a two-way player. and that's who comprises our bench. Marcus Smart's been out for weeks. I hope that we see a culture change when he returns to the lineup. He actually got in the box score last night receiving a technical foul, so that was interesting to see from Marcus Smart. But I actually cannot wait for him to get back in the lineup because he changes a lot for this team. I'm not going to say he changes everything because this team needs basically everything, and Marcus Smart can't fulfill that, but he changes a lot as far as how this team acts when they're out on the floor.
Two things. One, did you see the video? I think I even showed it to you.
Yeah, you did.
When Jason Tatum was getting interviewed, you could hear in the background Brad Stevens yelling no, and you could hear stuff being thrown. So I found that very interesting of the locker room.
I didn't know Brad Stevens' voice could get that loud.
And then the second thing is I'm going to write this column, and it's going to be titled "Why the New York Knicks Have a Deeper Bench Than the Boston Celtics."
That'd be a publishable column. It really would be, because the Knicks, if you took the Knicks bench and put it on the Celtics, we're a top 3 team in the East. Are you kidding? I mean,
Knicks are so good.
Oh my God, the Knicks are so good is not a sentence I thought I'd be hearing today. But the Celtics, man, they need to really put it together these next few weeks. I mean, Jaylen Brown said a few games ago, I mean, there's 40 games left. So it's not a long season comparison to normal years, but we have some games upcoming that are really going to test us. We got the Pacers tomorrow, Sunday, Wizards, Celtics. We just lost to them. That's going to be a game we need to win because Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum always seem to have these battles. Bradley Beal's come out on top a decent amount in those. Then we have a string of games that might be pretty tough. 3 in a row, we got the Clippers, Raptors, Nets. Now, in that Raptors game, just a quick tangent here, I'm not so sure if we'll see Kyle Lowry in that game. There's rumors of him going to Philadelphia in the coming days. So we'll see what happens there. But Kyle Lowry, I don't understand why they trade him. He's kind of a Raptor for life, it seems, in my opinion. But
so is DeMar DeRozan.
Yes, DeMar DeRozan. He was a Raptor for life until they saw Kawhi Leonard was available, and then they pulled the trigger. So we'll see what the potential package would be for Kyle Lowry if he were to get traded. But I don't expect that to happen in the near future. But yeah, we have Clippers, Raptors, Nets. Those 3 games are going to tell me what this Celtics team is going to be down the stretch. And if they lose all 3, if they lose 2 or 3, I can't see us getting out of the first or second round. And I'm so serious in saying that. We honestly, we could be in a position if we play mediocre the rest of the season that we're in the play-in tournament.
And you lose at Madison Square Garden
to a sold-out crowd of 200 people.
To the New York Knickerbockers. What are you talking about? Sold-out crowd of 200 people.
What do you mean? That's what they're allowing.
Oh, more than that. I thought you meant well,
no.
Then hopefully, God willing, it'll be more.
Yeah, well, that will be.
MSG is gonna erupt.
Does MSG get playoff basketball this year? I guess that's where we transition.
Governor Cuomo, let me just tell you right now. If the Knicks host a playoff,
calling out Cuomo,
whether it's a play-in game or game 4 of the first round when we're down 3-0, I don't care. If Madison Square Garden is hosting a Knick playoff game, COVID just it won't exist for that evening. Okay, Madison Square Garden would just, oh my goodness, I would go.
It would be.
I would go with my dad. We'd go. Have to.
It would be a zoo.
Spike Lee there the other night. I don't think
Spike Lee goes to games. I don't think he goes to games anymore. Maybe that was the rest of the season last year.
No, he wasn't there the other day.
Oh wow. So
maybe he'll be there tonight.
We'll see. Spike Lee, New York Knicks superfan. But yeah, I guess that's where we're transitioning right now to the Knicks. Tom, they've been playing, I hate to say it, decent basketball. Julius Randle, an all-star. What do you got? What do you make of that? I know you're a big Julius Randle guy.
I am not a big Julius Randle guy. I am not a fan of Julius Randle. I don't really know why anymore because he actually is pretty good. But he was I'm a big first impressions guy. And when he came over to the Knicks last year, obviously we don't know how much of a hard season he had all year. I know we had a few comments earlier about Julius Randle. But just talking about the Knicks as a whole, Tyler, I kind of, don't shoot me for it, but I kind of expected us to be playing like this to this point. Really? I expected the Knicks to be somewhere. I thought it'd be around 4 or 5 games under 500, but right now they're 2. They're playing well.
The Knicks at home on Tuesday though.
Huh?
Knicks lost to home on Tuesday.
Lost to the Knicks on Tuesday.
Oh my God. Knicks home loss to the Warriors on Tuesday. I'm so out of whack. Busy week, like I said earlier in the show. and I'm just getting all these
Excuses.
things wrong.
Excuses.
I'm
Just because they lost to the Warriors, they beat the Warriors in Golden State by 20.
and you can't win at home.
Oh my God. Steph Curry 37.
Notoriously,
He
a
always
mess
does
where
well.
everybody
He
just-
always plays well at the Garden.
But,
Davidson, A10 legend. Well, yeah, we were in the A10 then.
Yeah.
Point being, the Knicks are playing well, Tyler. Emmanuel quickly, again, I said this last show. The Knicks, New York basketball has Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, and now an all-star in Julius Randle. And the biggest star in New York is Emmanuel quickly. He's really slowed down a little bit. It's true, though. He's the most beloved player. What? He has been beloved so far this year.
Well, I'm not saying he's not beloved, but as far as points go, I mean, in that game
He has slowed down a little bit.
3 points.
He's slowed down a little bit.
But listen, he's also not getting as many minutes as he did, earlier in the season before Derrick Rose came along.
You want to talk about a guy who's not playing at all? Is freaking Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers, man.
I feel so bad for Austin Rivers. Man.
Quivers.
I loved Quivers, man. I loved them. I loved Rivers. Again, both Utah games. He's the reason we won both of those games. I feel bad for him. But point being, I still can't finish my point about the Knicks. Actually, one thing is, excuse me. You know what's interesting about the Knicks is their schedule came out for the second half of the season, right? And let me just tell you that Adam Silver must hate the New York Knicks, Tyler, because we look at the May schedule, right? And I'm gonna do this from memory: at Houston, at Memphis, in Phoenix. They played somewhere else. And Denver. In Denver. At the Clippers, at the Lakers, and then home against 3 playoff teams.
That's rough.
That is just a brutal last 9 games. I think I got that all memory correct.
How do you even, as an NBA schedule maker, how do you say, viewership's down, what can we do to get viewership up? Oh, the Knicks in the playoffs. That would be something that people would watch.
So here's my
they
theory.
Go and do this.
So here's my theory about that. I think that they gave the Knicks the earlier second half of the season schedule so that they're in it for longer, and then they're just done. But they're in it for longer, and it's a start.
Listen,
it's a start.
All they have to be is the 10 seed, and they got
That
a
is
shot.
true.
And they got a shot.
That is true.
So we'll see.
Listen, I would trust Coach Thibs in a winner-take-all game. I would trust Coach Thibs though.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, maybe he'll probably end up playing Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose 35 minutes, so they probably would end up losing.
Taj Gibson's playing. He played more than Rose Noel the other night.
I would honestly, is Nerlens Noel even worthy?
Yes, he should have been playing more. I am a big Nerlens Noel fan. I thought he's played really well with the Knicks so far.
He hasn't been bad with the Knicks. I'm not gonna slow down that. Something that I need to see out of the Knicks that will probably propel them into playoff contention and maybe a better seed in that play-in tournament, because that's probably where they're going to be. I'm not going to say that the Knicks are going to be a 6th seed heading into the playoffs.
Yes.
I can't say that. So they'll end up in the play-in tournament, but we're going to need to see more of RJ Barrett.
That is true. We all know my hatred for Julius Randle. I've never been an RJ Barrett fan. Okay, I've been very outspoken about how I have been very nervous about his development as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's the shooting that needs to improve with RJ Barrett. He's done a very good job in recent weeks of finishing at the rim ever since that Heat game where he absolutely blew it at the buzzer with left-handed layup. But I think the shooting, and it's obviously we've said all year with Mr. Barrett, right? That the shooting is just what's the main key for him. If he can start to have a consistent jumper, down the stretch, it's going to be very big for the Knicks. Again, and we look at this comment right here from my own father. Knicks have the second toughest schedule the second half of the season.
Why would you do that if you want the Knicks in the playoffs, NBA? I don't get it.
So upsetting. I agree.
Now,
it is very
I just
upsetting.
want to, talking about RJ Barrett, and something the big angle of the Derrick Rose trade was that, he's going to halt Emmanuel Quickly's growth. And you know what? Maybe he has a little bit, but I'd argue that the Derrick Rose trade has had a bigger impact on RJ Barrett than Emmanuel Quickly.
That's a good point.
Because of the fact that RJ Barrett and Derrick Rose play their best in the same situations when they have the ball in their hands. So Derrick Rose is obviously the biggest veteran presence, probably the most skilled player outside of Julius Randle on the Knicks. Definitely the most skilled guy in the backcourt. So he's going to take that presence away from R.J. Barrett as a true point guard. That's going to halt R.J. Barrett's shot creating ability. He's not really a guy who just sits on the wing and does catch and shoots or dribble pull-ups. He's a guy who kind of commands the offense and creates shots out of that, creates open opportunities out of him having the ball in his hands. So that's where I stand as far as the Derrick Rose trade goes. It's halted a lot for the Knicks, but they're not playing too bad, so you can't, be too upset with the trade at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on all those points. And, I know I stood exactly where I'm standing right now. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week's show, and just begging the Knicks to trade Elfrid Payton. Obviously, I still would like that to happen. I don't think it's going to happen at this point because he actually has played pretty well this year. Like it is he has played pretty well. I think he's doubtful for tonight's game. I might have to fact check myself, but he might not be playing tonight. But yeah, and another hit with the Knicks is the loss of Mitchell Robinson last few games. Huge. Yeah, and we're gonna miss him for I think it was about 4 more weeks. So that is a
what was the
big
exact
hit.
Injury that he
it was
had?
a fractured hand.
Oh yeah.
It was
keep you off for a while.
It was 4 to 6 weeks the night Bonaventure played VCU, so 2 weeks ago. So 4 more weeks.
Yeah.
Optimistically, you could say
it takes
3.
It takes a little bit to come back from that. I've seen firsthand Gordon Hayward last year had a broken hand, and it kept him out of action for about 4 weeks when he was playing a really good stretch of basketball, and that kind of derailed last year's season for him as far as that goes. But Mitchell Robinson, he's not a guy who has to create a lot of jump shots with his hands, so he really kind of just has to sit there, catch the ball, dunk it, catch alley-oops, dunk it. It's really what his offensive game is.
Yeah.
So
better Oshun.
Hopefully, better Oshun. So hopefully he comes back and plays at the same level after a broken hand.
He's out until at least March 13th. And Elfrid Payton and Nerlens Noah are both game time decisions tonight. So it'll be interesting to see. They're playing the Kings.
They're
at home.
They're going to lose that game.
Kings at home, and then Pacers at home on Saturday. So if the Knicks can leave Saturday night with at least 1-1, that's encouraging for the Knickerbockers.
So you're envisioning 2 games below 500 for the rest of the season. That's your goal for the Knicks.
That was what I predicted preseason.
Honestly, with the way that the East is this year,
that's fine. That's a 6 seed.
It's to be a below 500 6 seed, man. Crazy how the Eastern Conference works this season, and it's not.
Sure is.
It's not necessarily an indictment on the teams in the East. Maybe it is, but I think it's more of a celebration of the individual play. I think this is the most stacked that an Eastern Conference has been as far as individual talent goes in a long time. And in today's NBA, individual talent can win you games in a lot of situations, and that's what's happening with the East this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's what's the right word? I don't think that the East is being as I think it's being more hated on. That's not the word I was looking for, but it's what I'm going to use. It's being more hated on than it should be because you're right. They do have a lot of good teams in the East, and some are just underperforming. Raptors, Celtics, Heat. All these teams are kind of underperforming. So, I was still struggling to find the right word, but
then you have
I think the East is a lot better than people think.
Yeah, and then you have teams like the Hawks who have Trae Young.
They're underperforming too.
They're underperforming as far as the standards go for what they were going to be this season.
Yes.
They set the 11th seed, so they're on the cusp of a play-in tournament bid. But then, they have a guy like Trae Young who can just absolutely take over a game, make the other team play a different style, and then the Hawks end up winning that game. The Magic have Vucevic, second-time All-Star, who
you predicted.
Who I did predict. I'll pat myself on the back for that one. He's having a career year, and he's had 40-point, nearly triple doubles. I think he did have a 40-point.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a very good NBA player, and he's a guy who can command the tone of a game as well. So the Magic can steal some games. The Wizards are 11-18. And they're probably the best 13 seed I've ever seen. Russell Westbrook's playing one of his most efficient seasons this year. Bradley Beal leads the league in scoring, so they can win on any given night. You saw them beat the Celtics. You saw them beat the Lakers. You saw them compete with the Clippers for a large portion of the game. So there's teams in the East that can just steal these games based on individual talent alone, and that's what makes all the records from basically, the 4 seed all the way to the 14 seed being separated by less than 5 games.
Hey, there you go.
It's crazy how the NBA season is working this year, and with all sports really in this COVID era, college basketball, NBA alike, it's so much parity and so much upsets in a sense as far as the regular season goes, with lower teams beating higher teams.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely nailing the head in the coffin there. I absolutely agree with you there.
And it's just one of those things where the NBA, you have like the NBA MVP race this year, we really have no idea who's going to be the champion or who's going to come out of each conference or who's going to even meet up in the conference finals. There's so many possibilities on both sides, both conferences, where we could see this year in the NBA.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to touch on a little more college hoops, little conference tournament talk, and we're going to give our best bets of the night on a really underrated night of college basketball. Thursday night, not the biggest night, not the biggest slate of college basketball games. So we're going to give you our best bets for a couple games tonight. Stick with us. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3, The Buzz.
Welcome back to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz, as well as WSBU's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube Live. Tom, for the last 10 minutes, we got a pretty good slate of college basketball tonight, and we talked about Michigan, Iowa. I wanted to get your pick real quick for that game before we get into the rest of the slate. So real quick,
what do you got?
Oh, I don't like how you're asking me who I got for.
Because this is your team, and most people would say, oh, yeah, he's going to take Iowa, but maybe not.
I am a smart human being. I like to think. I don't think many people agree with me, but I like to think that. I want to pick Iowa, and I think if I was a betting man and it was +5, I would bet Iowa.
It's 5.5 now.
I would absolutely bet Iowa. I am a little nervous. I don't like how you're making me pick on my team. I'm going to pick Iowa.
All right,
you know, I'm just going to do it.
Homer pick.
I'm going to do it. Absolute homer pick. But very nervous. Wouldn't be shocked if Michigan won by 30.
They could. Whoa, Michigan win by 30. That's
Yeah.
a bold prediction.
I would not be shocked.
That's crazy. I think it's going to be a really close game. I would also take Iowa as well, but that's not my best bet in that game. I would actually take the over 154.5 in a college basketball game.
Yeah.
Both teams score a ton of points, and although they're good defensively, these teams just know how to shoot the basketball, and that's what we're going to see tonight, especially with your X factor, the Iowa guard from outside.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you anymore there. Normally, if I was playing, you normally take the over. So there you go there.
We're getting a bunch of really good games tonight other than that, and in the AAC, we get a pretty solid game as well. Houston actually playing at a conference game with Western Kentucky coming to town.
That's true, yes. And Houston is 11.5-point favorites, Tyler.
I feel like that's a lot.
If I was a betting man, I'd bet Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky, Charles Bassey's having a great year for Western Kentucky. The
Future Nick.
Tom thinks every mid-major star is going to be Nick. Just earlier today, he was telling me, Marreon Jackson. That sounds like a future Nick.
That is true. I did say that, actually.
So Tom just has every mid-major star.
It's good. I want him on the...
Anthony Early, he did it. I mean, didn't have the best Nick
Anthony
career.
Ron Baker.
Nick legend.
Mitchell Robinson didn't even go to college, but he was going to go to Western Kentucky.
He was going to go to Western Kentucky. So
Obi Toppin? Come on.
The Knicks
Tyler, come on.
I guess it's just destiny for Marreon Jackson and Charles Bassey to be future
And Preston, Ohio.
And Jason Preston
Yes.
Of Ohio in the MAC as well.
Yes.
But in that game, yeah, Houston, they've been impressive. They lost to Wichita State just a few days ago.
They lost to East Carolina, my boy Joe Dooley.
Former Florida Gulf Coast Cinderella legend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this game, I just can't see it being too big of a margin of victory for Houston. I do think they're going to win the game, but I do think that Western Kentucky covers here. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
8-point win for Houston, you still get the Western Kentucky money if you throw them down. So I just don't see a huge blowout tonight. And Western Kentucky's a team who's trying to make the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
So this is going to be a huge game for them. It would be a monster quad one victory for Western Kentucky, and it probably would cement them as a tournament team.
I would agree. It would definitely.
It's going to be a really good game, and I think Western Kentucky's here to bring their A game. I would honestly sprinkle responsibly a little Western Kentucky money line.
Yeah, I agree.
At a low value.
I agree.
Good value, low price tag.
Plus 550, Tyler.
Plus 550, that's great value for Western Kentucky. But 11.5 is just way too much. I got to take them there.
That's 12 now.
Whoa. What is... Okay. I think that's an absolute... I'm going to put the Smith lock stamp on Western Kentucky tonight. That's my best bet of the night. We're gonna get into our best bets of the night as we get through these the rest of the games here. But that's got to be my favorite of the night. Western Kentucky plus 12.
Love it.
Easy money.
Love it.
Next game on the slate, go back to the Big Ten. Ohio State heading to East Lansing for the red-hot Michigan State Spartans and Tom Izzo. Right as we get into March, that's when they play their best basketball.
And I'll open up here.
All right.
Because, Tyler, this is going to be my upset of the night.
Ooh.
Thank God I don't bet because I would be too nervous to bet it. But in my mind, I think Michigan State's going to win tonight.
Well, listen,
I think they're going to pull off a big upset.
Listen, as far as college basketball goes, we've seen so many upsets throughout the season of unranked teams beating ranked teams, like I said. Michigan State's at home, and they're an underdog. Notoriously, road favorites do not win outright.
And we know who you're talking to right now.
I'm talking to a special someone who's a big favorite of road favorites in his gambling, lifestyle.
But Tyler, Michigan State's been playing really well recently.
They have.
They had a few close losses. Obviously after the Iowa loss, because that was just an obliteration. But it was a close game against Purdue. Then they did end up beating Indiana, and
good win.
And they beat Illinois too, back-to-back wins.
Two great wins back-to-back. Was it Indiana game at home?
It was at Indiana.
Oh, so that's 2 quad 1 wins.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Michigan State, they've been playing. Obviously, they're not going to make the tournament, I don't think. But it's Michigan State, and
Listen,
they need
anything's
viewers.
possible.
They need viewers, so maybe. But probably not. But point being, I think tonight, Michigan State, Tommy Izzo, Ohio State, after the loss this weekend in Michigan, doesn't get their energy back quite yet. And I'm going to take the team who just had 2 quad 1 wins and against a team who just lost a big game. I'm going to take Michigan State tonight.
College basketball is about being the hottest team going into your next game. I would honestly take Michigan State as well.
Let's go.
I wouldn't take the money line. I would take 3.5. I think this one's gonna be really close. This game could be a 1-possession game.
Sure.
One other game I wanted to talk about, and we were robbed of Baylor West Virginia tonight, which is just ridiculous. It would have been another Big 12 game of the year potential. But I wanted to talk about USC heading to Colorado, because Colorado's another team who's on the bubble as well.
Yeah, I saw that game.
And USC is one of my favorite teams actually in the country right now. I love the Mobley brothers, and they just play so well inside, efficient as heck. Evan Mobley is one of the best freshmen in the entire country, and they got guys like Drew Pearson who are playing really good as well, distributing and scoring and being a floor general for this USC team. But they're head to Colorado as favorites. Again, like I say, road favorites are notoriously not big winners. I got another close game happening here. Oh, actually, no, excuse me.
No, Colorado's
favorite.
Yeah.
I actually thought the line opened with USC as a 1-point favorite, but maybe I was reading that wrong. Colorado's actually a favorite here, so I don't know what to think anymore. I would have taken Colorado at plus money, but I don't know. USC plus 3?
It's going to depend on if Evan Mobley plays tonight. He's a game-time decision, so it all depends on.
So maybe that's why the line did open.
It opened as Colorado favor. I'm looking at it right now. Open 2.5 and then went up to 3. So it really depends on if Mobley's playing tonight. If he is playing tonight, then absolutely hammer the plus 3. Might still not be there, but
game-time decision. I mean,
depends.
Got to bank on if Evan Mobley's playing, and it's a big game in the Pac-12. It potentially could drop USC from the top 25 if they lose this game convincingly. I don't know. I honestly wouldn't give you a pick on this game as far as the spread goes. I would actually take under 136.5 is where I go on this game.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
And just one more before we finish the show here. Boise State heading to San Diego State. Boise State's pretty underrated. They're on their bubble as well. And it's Boise State plus 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's got to be the play. I really do.
Yeah, it's very high.
The Mountain West plays each other very tight, especially the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, I think with Boise State, they've played really well recently, but SDSU is just too good.
They are really good.
So I don't know. My friend asked me about that line. I didn't touch it because I don't know. I was a little back and forth on it.
Yeah, this is the first of 2 back-to-back games for Boise State and San Diego State, both in San Diego. So it'll be tough.
Yeah.
Boise State's gonna have to get one of these wins.
I think they'll get. If they do get one, I think it's tonight.
Yeah.
And because they've had a history of that.
They're in the 9 o'clock slot, little Mountain West late night games. I'm actually gonna take Boise State plus 6.5 tonight.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I think, like you said, if they're gonna win one of the 2 games, it's gonna be tonight. So my final pick of the night is gonna be Boise State plus 6.5. But my best bet of the night, I said it before, I'll say it again. Western Kentucky plus 12 against Houston. I can't say enough about it. Charles Bassey to the moon, baby.
All right, so you want to give me? I'll give you 2 picks.
Yeah.
For my more the locks of the night before we wrap up here. So if this show was before 2 p.m., I would have said Ohio minus 11.5, and that did cover today. Big Ohio guy. I have 2 for you, Tyler, and they're mid-majors.
Well, of course they are.
Okay, first one comes from the NEC. Okay, I have Mount St. Mary's -1.5 against Sacred Heart, not Sacred Heart, St. Francis. More the lock. Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, they're not good.
More the lock. That's two teams who are under 500. I think that I know they're a road favorite, but it's only 1 point. I got Mount St. Mary's on the road. Now the second game I have for you, Tyler, is from the Horizon.
Oh my God.
It's from the Horizon. I think I might have mentioned it earlier.
Please don't say it.
It's not Detroit Mercy.
Okay.
It's not. Their line's too big for me. But it's IUPUI. I went down to 4. Was that 4.5?
Plus or minus? Plus 4.
They are 4-point underdogs against Milwaukee. The public is betting 68%, Tyler, towards Milwaukee.
Oh, we got it.
We're betting against the public. We're going IUPUI +4 lock of the night.
Well, there you have it. Those are Tom Seip's locks of the night. I got Western Kentucky +12, and since you threw in 2, I'll throw in a second one as well. I'm actually going to take over in the Gonzaga-Santa Clara game because Gonzaga's going to put up 100 and Santa Clara better put up 54.
Oh, we'll see.
So there we go. Those are our 2 best bets of the night, and this concludes another extended episode of Seipp and Smitty. It's been fun. Hopefully, we're going to do this again as the rest of the semester goes.
We will.
2-hour shows. We love it. We had a lot to talk about today. And hopefully we'll get another interview next week as well, leading up to the NCAA tournament because we love college hoops. Guys, it's been fun. Tom, we'll see you next week. It's been Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3, The Buzz.